Minister Anj here, and I'm so grateful that you have come back to tune in for part 2 of this powerful, cultivated conversation, all about what's so good about Friday. I want to thank you again for choosing to tune in. And by the way, if you missed part 1 last night, I promise you're going to want to go back and watch. And you can check it out on our Facebook, you can check it out on our YouTube, but you definitely want to check it out. That being said, I'm so excited for this part 2 of this cultivated conversation. It is getting ready to bless you, encourage you right where you are. So please stay tuned. By way of reminder, I want to remember to let you know that we did have a slight audio issue, technical issue with my audio, but you can hear the guest perfectly clearly, and that's what you really want to hear, family. I promise you, they're giving some powerful just sharing of their experience and how God came through. So, without further ado, thank you for tuning in for part 2 of Cultivated Conversations. Let's dive in.
Right? But yeah, I mean, that's what it is, man. So asking yourself that question, what are you trying to defend, bro? And it's like, it becomes clear that I'm trying to defend these emotions that I don't want nobody to see, you know? And it's like, it's coming out in anger in different ways, you know what I mean? So I think that's important. Yeah.
That's good.
That's good. So we've been talking for a little while now. And we've talked about Friday experiences. I hope that while you're watching, you're thinking about what your Friday experience is. You might be in the middle of a Friday experience right now. And we've talked about what Friday experiences look like, right? What does this scenario look like? This is what it looked like for me. This is what it looked like for me. This is what it looked like for me. We've talked a little bit about what it felt like. I appreciate, Rue, that you shared, like, in those moments, kind of during and after the divorce, you really, like, questioned yourself. You questioned, like, what is it, something about me? And so, like, those are things that we feel, and we don't verbalize them to people, but we say some ugly stuff to ourselves when ain't nobody listening. And so we've talked about some of what these Friday experiences have felt like. The darkness, Sharnay talked about, and I want to go here for just a minute. I want to talk a little bit more about what the Friday experiences feel like. Because there's somebody who's watching right now, and they're in their Friday, and they feel like they're the only person who thinks these things. They're the only person who's feeling this way. And so can we talk just a little bit more about, in the heart, in the depths, right in the midst of your Friday experience, the truth of what that felt like. Just real. And we won't go to Sunday yet. We gonna get to Sunday. You're gonna live to see it happen.
Yes, come on, bring that song back. You want to live to see it happen, right?
I don't want to go to Sunday yet. I want us to talk about the heart of what does Friday really feel like. Like, not, I would say,
right.
No, like, let's get to it. If there was depression involved, yeah, I was depressed for a minute. I couldn't, like, it was difficult for me to get out of the bed. It was difficult for me to focus. It was, talk about some of what your specific Friday experience or experiences, if you have multiples that you want to pull from, some of what that felt like.
Yeah.
You don't even know, I can't, it doesn't matter.
I mean,
what are you defending, Ruth? No.
yeah, I was trying to see how real I wanted to get with that. You know what I mean? Like, how real do we want to be? I mean, so all right.
This is Cultivated Conversations, all real.
So something you had said a second ago about, the struggle and for me personally wondering, what is it about me? And I think sometimes, bro, it is you, right? And so that is also a piece.
He said, sometimes it is you.
Yeah.
If you're the common denominator in all of the things.
Right.
Remember when we had said, counseling is a good thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is you.
Yeah, sometimes it is you, and so recognizing in those moments, processing, okay, wait a second, I am not the totally innocent one, right? There are things that I have done to create certain situations, right? Intentionally, unintentionally, or just not, just not being mindful, right? And it's like when you're getting married, you don't know how to be married, right? You're growing together, you're learning, you know what I'm saying? And so like there's a part of your single life that you're trying to reconcile. How does this work, right? I love this person, but I ain't used to, you know what I'm saying, that level of relationship. And so yeah, you make mistakes, right? And so part of it is also dealing with the hurt you've caused and being able to say, you know what, yeah, that was me. And so because hey, it takes two, right? It's not all one-sided. And so I think that's a big part of it too, is that it felt bad, it was heavy, but then also on top of that, what are the things that I've done to cause this? You know what I mean? And come to grips with that it's not easy. You know what I mean? It does take a level of laying down pride and being humble and saying, hey, I got to eat my humble pie in this season, because this is the monster that I built. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's a big part of it too. That those are those real raw emotions. But yeah, we ain't going on Sunday yet. But yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Right.
Yeah, so I would start with when I opened up and shared about my Friday experience, it was connected to my personal and my professional, right? So understanding that when you're on your journey, like if you have high career aspirations, that if you are the sole breadwinner of that home, it's going to impact so much more, whether it's mentally, spiritually, like, God, you told me this job was for me, but this outcome don't seem like this job is for me, right? Like I was riding a wave and I was making impact, and you told me this is part of my ministry, like community work is my ministry, so how dare you take it away from me, right? So really having those tug of war conversations with God, sometimes God will be like, yes, I know you're mad at me, right? I need you to stay mad at me, because now that's when you're the most honest conversations that you have with me, because when everything is good, you forget about me and you don't talk to me. And then having to sit in that and being like, oh, so once again, did I do this, or did you take this away because I forgot that you was my father and I forgot that you were my resources? And then, or for me, that was my refinement process. And when I'm refining you and purifying you, I got to turn up the heat, right? So looking at the fire, I got to turn it up. The heat, it got to get hot. Because if you don't know how to withstand when things are hot and heated, whether I was newly married, so that impacted our marriage, right? Marriage in the first year, learning each other, learning ourselves, difficult situation, then add on a layoff on top of that, right? So we had moved into our new home, made a little bit more money, said we could afford a little bit more. So then that's the extra burden of financial stress. Because we're not talking about finances as a whole, because we're still functioning as individuals and not as one. So there was a whole bunch of Fridays in that, but it really forced me to feel like I was alone in it. But that's where it catapulted me in my relationship to God even more. Of like, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it hurts. Yes, sometimes you may cry in the shower. Yes, sometimes you may be crying in your car. Yes, sometimes you may be crying in Giant Eagle. Right, but the tears are therapeutic, and the tears are part of the healing. But you got to not be afraid to say when you need help, right? for me, sometimes people wouldn't even know that I was going to community events because I knew dinner was going to be served. Like, I could save $5-10 a day because I know the Hill CDC is about to be eating dinner. So I'm going to eat this. I'm going to save till I could take these leftovers home. And we're going to make it do what we do. We're resourceful, right? So it was like, we'll make it happen. Yeah. Not saying that she didn't have resources, but nope, let me think about how to make my resources stretch. And in COVID-19, so many people are hurting. Don't be afraid to ask for help, right? People can't help you if they don't know that you need it because you're so used to being the strong one. You're used to being seen as this community leader, and people have this perception of who you are and what you do and what you're capable of. But everybody needs that season of help.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you said something kind of real briefly. You said it and you kept moving. But I want to go back to it.
Okay, push me.
You talked about being angry with God and saying so. And there are a lot of people who are watching, I guarantee you, who are watching, and they are living with this old school mentality that you don't, how dare you be angry with God? Who are you to be angry with God? But am I or am I not his child? And I always, in those moments where, because I've experienced a season of just being angry with God. Like I would be like, literally, like, I don't want to talk to you. Don't you talk to me. Don't send nobody over here with your message. I don't want to see you right now. And he would still show up and I'd be like, didn't I say? He'd be like, that's so cute. Your tantrum was cute. But so I've had those seasons of being angry with God. And a lot of people don't know that it's okay. Like, God is big enough to handle your anger. And there are a lot of people who are double bound in the middle of a Friday experience because they're experiencing Friday. And they're mad at God in the middle of it. But they don't want to say they're mad at God because I don't want to go to hell.
Yes, God.
If you have never read a psalm in your life, go to the book of Psalms. Go to the book of Job. These mugs were angry. Listen, when I read through the book of Psalms, like from beginning to end, I was like, who hurt you? I mean, these mugs were always like, I don't want you to just kill my enemy. I want you to crush them mugs. They was mad at one thing or another. Then they would cry out to God, why have you left me? We talk about Jesus on the cross saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? But that happened in Psalm. He was referring to a Psalm of David. When he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? This is the king who is known as the man after God's own heart. And he says to God, why would you leave me here? What is happening? And if that's not an angry with God moment, I don't know what is. And so, real quick, whoever you are,
yes, God,
you're like double bound in your Friday experience right
yes,
now
God,
because you think that it's not okay for you to tell God what's on your heart. He already knows. He's just waiting for you to unburden yourself.
Yes, God.
It's okay if you need to say, I'm angry with God because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't like how it feels. I'm done. I'm tired.
Yes,
it's okay
God,
to say that to God, to surrender the truth of those emotions to God because he's big enough to handle it. He won't cease to be God because you're mad. And so we talked about the Friday experience. We've talked about what it looks like, what it feels like. Can you, based on the Friday that you have shared, just talk a little bit, because what we recognize is that, right, what's so good about Friday, we don't see what's so good about Friday until Sunday comes. We never see what's so good about Friday until we look back in retrospect. Jesus had a fixed trial. He was innocent, still condemned for stuff that he didn't do. Goes to the cross, hangs on the cross for hours, dies on the cross, buried in the grave. That was the only frame of reference that his disciples, that his mother, that everybody around, that was the only frame of reference that they had for that Friday was an innocent man died on Friday.
Yeah.
That's it. They had no frame of reference for what was going to happen the next day. They had no frame of reference for what was going to happen the day after that. Jesus had told them, but they didn't quite understand it until it happened. And so we talk about Good Friday, Good Friday, Good Friday, but there was nothing good, it seemed, on Friday. In the middle of the situation, the divorce didn't feel good. In the middle of the situation, being laid off and then getting a job and then laid off again, and in the middle of a pandemic, that don't feel good. But can you tell, and you may still be in a part of your Friday experience. You may be walking through Friday, but based on previous experiences, can you tell me what was so good about your Friday?
You know, sis, I can say that it's difficult to see it in the moment, but pain is medicine. You know, and even as you're, retelling the story about what the disciples were going through on that Friday, like, we have the Bible, we know the story, right? But for them, it's like it's happening in real time. You know what I mean? And so in real time, it's like, it's kind of hard to see, okay, what is this really about? And, it's interesting we're talking about this because I'm actually in one of my classes, we're talking about suffering. And one of the examples that was discussed was about a kid going to the doctors. And literally, we just had this experience like earlier in the week with Joanna. It was time for her to get her shots, you know what I mean? And so Christine takes her to the doctor, and she gets her vaccination shots, and already she's flipping out because she already knows this is what it means to go to the doctors. So she's already, how sometimes before we even get into a situation, we're already playing in our minds how this is not going to work out in my favor, right? And so this is where she's at. And so the doctor comes in, and so it's now the time to get the shots. And she is going ballistic, right? Christine has to hold her down, right? So that she can, and so I can only imagine in her mind, you're my mother. Why are you allowing this person to harm me? You know what I mean? You're my God. Why are you letting the enemy run rampant in my life? You know what I mean? And so literally, and not only you letting this person harm me, but it seems like you're helping them. Yeah. Like, God, are you helping this thing to happen? Like, Job, have you considered my servant Job? Yeah. Right? God, did you help the enemy do this? Right? And so like, there's a sense of, holding her down. She's getting the shot. And then, like, afterwards, it's all said and done, you get a little sticker, and then you pay the person. You go, right. You gonna give them money for harming me? But it's like, as a kid, she won't see the blessing and the benefit for years to come. Yeah. There's a reason why we get these vaccines and these shots, right? To prevent things from later on in life. And so the powerful thing is that on a Friday, it seems bad and it seems painful, and it is painful. It's a reality. This hurts. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there is a greater reward, a greater plan that you can't see in the moment. That is going to benefit you later. There are so many things, man, listen, there are so many stories that I have now that I can tell other people. Right, we overcome by the word of our testimony, the blood of the Lamb, the word of there's some stories I tell other people that are benefiting them off of the pain that I've gone through, right? And so what's good about Friday? It's you're able to give somebody a blessing based off of the pain, and that's what's so powerful about that demonstration of the cross. It's like God overcame evil and gave us his best work all in one situation. Yes. Like God's goodness involves pain and good at the same time. And so that shot for Joanna was painful, but it's also good at the same time. Yeah. And so there's this wrestle, but our thoughts are not his thoughts, man. Our ways are not his ways, and his thoughts are higher than ours. Yes. And so it's like being able to trust God in those moments. That God, I know I don't understand this, but I know that you got me. And so I'm just going to keep on holding on until I get through. And I'm going to keep trusting you until I get through. So when I get on the other side, I can look back and say, man, God, thank you for what I've gone through. Because it gave me another perspective. You know, Paul talks about how I want to know you in the fellowship of your suffering. I want to know you in that way. And it's like, that's a whole nother level of Christianity that we don't even talk about, right? We want the good side. I'm blessed and highly favored, but do we want to know him in his suffering? I mean, goodness gracious, right? And so that's kind of like,
Suffering is the power. That's where the power flows through.
come on, man. You can't have a name above every name until you die on the cross. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to come after me, he said you got to deny yourself first. You know, man, I can go on about that, but that's
We was letting you keep going.
to me, that's the big part about Friday, man. It does involves pain. It involves a death to yourself. There are things that I learned about myself going through that divorce that would not have been uncovered unless I went through it, right? And so it's like, yo, I can't keep on giving out harm to somebody, not knowing that I'm harming them. You know what I'm saying? Or they're telling me that I'm harming them, and I don't think it's a big deal, right? Because you gotta hit some pain, because there's some things I need to uncover in your life that are literally preventing you from being the man I called you to be. And so, that's,
Sharnay, what?
I was about to say, I need you to restate that question, because there's so much there. Before that question, I'm just thinking about, I don't remember where I've been seeing it, but I think watching on Facebook, scrolling or somewhere, and about the harm, right? We talked about the unintended harm. There was a clip that said, if I'm driving inside of a car and I'm distracted on my phone and you hit me, do I still feel the pain? And is that harm caused to me different if you're driving in your car and your car malfunctioned and you still hit me? Right, so that, when you said that, I was thinking about that, like, no, I still got hit. My pain might not be different, but you may try to begin to rationalize it because of how it happened or who was at fault for it.
That's good.
So for me, just listening to the conversation, I could go 10 different ways. But as you started explaining and recapturing, right, the scenario of what his mother felt and witnessed, I started thinking about George Floyd, right? So that unintended consequences, yes, he was taken away from us, but to look at everything else, whether corporations are in it for a moment or they want to join a movement, the social capital that happened, or the shift in culture and shift in resources that are starting to happen because of that, right, was like, God, was that the purpose in his pain is to move the needle for the African American community? Like, that's heavy. But then I started to think about my own story. About the day that I was laid off, I received, downstairs we were talking about our lovely sister Penda James. Shout out to the Reverend James and the First Lady James. I received a card and her Selah journal. If you don't have a journal, go purchase a journal, because I told you about the power of journaling. Lady, yes.
Okay.
And inside of that journal, she said, "Sis, thank you for being my accountability partner. The Sisters Living as We Climb Network is an international ministry." And soon after that, I received the nomination or notification that I was receiving an award from a local organization for my work with women and girls in the season. And then God started talking to me like, yes, she may have went there and took on that position, but you wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Go back to do what I told you to start. And the blessing of everything else that came along with it, we applied for our first grant. We're now in the process of, we'll be releasing our first book at the end of the month. Super excited, but it's all about how women have taken their pain and how are we changing the narratives of being Black women in the city of Pittsburgh and beyond. So, right, so then I started thinking about George Floyd again. Like, if George Floyd didn't happen, would I have been able to apply for this grant to talk about the realities of Black women in America?
Ooh.
Woo, right?
Yeah.
So all of that is about that, the Good Friday, the goodness of it all, but without that pain, where would we been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
This was good.
Yeah.
So we could have these all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God. Well, there you have it. We started out by asking the question, what's so good about Friday? And in case you missed it, Sharnay and Pastor Mike have given us so much good stuff to help us unpack and understand not just the Friday experience, but what's so good about it.
Amen.
I know there are some of you who are watching, and I've been referencing you all throughout because I want you to know that we know you're there. We know that you are right in the middle of your Friday experience. And you are saying, yeah, all right, Angelique, that's all well and good. That sounds good, in a video. All right, Sharnay, okay, I hear you. Yeah. All right, Pastor Mike, whatever, I hear you. But you don't understand what this feels like. And so I want to let you know we understand. We cannot understand, the fullness of what your Friday experience is, but we do know what it's like to be in the middle of a Friday. We do know what it's like to be in the middle of hopelessness, despair, fear, anger, hurt, pain, disappointment, feeling rejected. Whatever your Friday looks like, we know that it's not an easy place, a fun place. But we want you to know, no matter how dark your Friday is, that you're loved. We love you. And the thing that is so good about the Friday that you're in right now, right in this moment, not like previous Fridays where you have the context of retrospect, but the thing that's so good about this Friday that you're in right now is that Fridays don't last always.
Amen.
See, the order to the days of the week is that it goes Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday, then Friday, but the week doesn't end on Friday, because then you have Saturday. And what's so good about Friday is what happened on Sunday. And so I want to encourage you that what's so good about what you're going through right now is that your pain, your discomfort in this uncomfortable place is fueling a victorious Sunday. And on Sunday, you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, I didn't think I would make it. And I'm really not sure how I did.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that I had a Friday. Because if there wasn't a Friday, y'all, I promise you, we wouldn't be able to celebrate Sunday. If there was no Good Friday, there'd be no Easter Sunday. And Easter Sunday is where the victory is. And so I want to encourage you, wherever you are in the middle of your Friday, do not give up. I know it hurts. Don't give up. Don't walk away. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep seeking God in the middle of your Friday, because before you know it, Sunday's coming. And we can't wait to hear about your Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us for another iteration of Cultivated Conversations. We don't take it for granted that you chose to spend this time with us to talk all about these uncomfortable spaces that we don't like to be in. We love you. We hope that you tune in for the next time. And God bless you guys. Good night.